He spent 13 years fixing cars on television. He was the reason millions of people tuned in. And then, in March 2017, it ended. Not because the show was canceled, not because he was fired, but because a network executive decided his work was too difficult to make. That man is Edd China. And the story of what happened to him after he walked away from Wheeler Dealers and what it cost him to do it is something most people who love that show still don't fully understand. Edd China built his entire public identity around one principle: show people exactly how things work and do it with as much detail as the camera can hold. For 13 seasons, he made that work. He appeared in 809 episodes. The show grew from a small shed in the United Kingdom into a format watched across North America and internationally, with viewership estimates in the hundreds of millions. His segments, detailed, methodical, educational, were widely considered the backbone of what made Wheeler Dealers different from every other car show on television. But what happened behind the scenes during that final year had almost nothing to do with any of that. It had to do with a decision made by people who had never met him. Before Wheeler Dealers, before any television at all, Edd China was a student at London South Bank University, studying engineering product design. While other students were focused on coursework, he was building a motorized sofa, a fully road-legal, street-drivable couch powered by a 1.3-liter BMC Mini engine, with flower pots hiding the turn signals and a clock face for a speedometer. He built it to raise money for a Raleigh International expedition to Belize. In 1998, that sofa, he called it the Casual Lofa, hit 87 miles per hour at Silverstone and earned him his first Guinness World Record for fastest furniture. He was 26 years old. He would eventually break his own record in 2007, pushing the same creation to 92 miles per hour. By the time Wheeler Dealers launched in 2003, Edd had already appeared on Top Gear, worked as a special effects technician on the Channel 4 sitcom Father Ted, and accumulated a series of additional Guinness records: fastest office, fastest mobile bed, fastest garden shed, fastest toilet. The man built his career not on celebrity, but on genuine mechanical ability and a kind of joyful eccentricity that television rarely produces naturally. When he joined Wheeler Dealers alongside presenter Mike Brewer in 2003, the combination worked because Brewer handled the buying and selling, while Edd handled the actual mechanics, in real time, on camera, with no shortcuts. That transparency was the show's identity. Viewers trusted it because Edd made them trust it. For 13 years, that formula held. In 2016, the production of Wheeler Dealers moved from its original UK setup to Velocity Channel in the United States. The show had already been relocated to Huntington Beach, California. With Velocity now controlling production, a new directive arrived. The workshop segments, Edd's segments, were described internally as too difficult to make. Edd explained it himself in a video posted directly to his YouTube channel in March 2017. He said that Velocity, on their first attempt at producing the show, found it, quote, too difficult to make, at least in its current format. He went on to specify exactly what that meant: the detailed, in-depth coverage of workshop repairs, what he personally considered the backbone and the unique selling point of the program, was something Velocity felt should be reduced. The reason was not creative. The reason was financial. Fewer complex sequences meant less production time, less cost, fewer complications. Edd China was 45 years old at the time. He had spent more than a decade building something people cared about, and now the people with legal authority over that show were telling him the most important part of it needed to be made simpler. He announced his departure on March 21st in 2017 via a Facebook post, followed by a YouTube video. His statement was measured and respectful. He thanked the crew, expressed genuine appreciation for the fans, and said, almost prophetically, "You never know, this may not be the last you see of us working together." What he could not have predicted was what happened next. Within days of Edd's announcement, Mike Brewer, his co-host for all 13 seasons, posted a tweet that read, "Edd left, didn't say, just abandoned the show, and then trashed it after 13 years. Who's the traitor?" Mike deleted the tweet, but it had already been seen, and it was already too late. The fan response was immediate and severe. Viewers who had loved the show, and more specifically, who had loved Edd's segments, turned their anger not at the network, not at Velocity, but at Mike Brewer. Death threats were sent. His wife and daughter received abuse online. The harassment continued for weeks. What happened next said something important about who Edd China actually is. Within days of the threats becoming public, he posted a second video, not to defend his own decision, not to argue further with Brewer, but specifically to ask fans to stop. He said, and the quote is documented, "Mike called me at the weekend and told me that over the past few days, not only he, but also his wife and daughter had been receiving a lot of abuse and even death threats because of my leaving the show, and that's really not cool. In the same video, he confirmed something that complicated the picture further. He and Brewer, he said, were friends, but Brewer was not his favorite person right at that moment. The two men who had spent 13 years working together were now separated by anger, public chaos, and a television industry decision neither of them had controlled. The relationship eventually stabilized. By the time Edd launched his YouTube series Workshop Diaries in 2021, Mike and his wife were publicly among the first to congratulate him. But the damage done to Edd's career between 2017 and 2021 is worth understanding, because it was not small. After leaving Wheeler Dealers, Edd did not land immediately on his feet. He released a series of YouTube videos called Ask Edd, answering fan questions. He documented something that most viewers never knew about: the struggle to retrieve his personal tools from the Wheeler Dealers workshop. The tools he had used for over a decade. Getting them back required effort. In May 2018, he released a pilot episode of a series called Edd China's Garage Revival. Only the pilot was produced. The full series never materialized. He made guest appearances on other people's content. He uploaded sporadically. For a man who had been one of the most recognizable faces in automotive television, the years between 2017 and 2021 were quiet in a way that would have been difficult to predict. There was also a broader question about the industry. Some observers noted that Edd appeared to have limited access to mainstream television after his Wheeler Dealers departure. Whether that was a choice he made or an industry dynamic working against him has never been confirmed publicly. What is confirmed is that he did not return to traditional broadcast television. He built something instead. He founded the brand Grease Junkie. He set up a workshop in Buckinghamshire, England. In March 2021, 4 years after the departure that reshaped his life, he launched Workshop Diaries on YouTube, a weekly series running approximately 30 minutes per episode. The format was exactly what Wheeler Dealers had tried to eliminate: detailed, technical, in-depth, real fixes, explained properly. The channel grew to over 500,000 subscribers. Edd China turned 55 in May 2026. He is still working out of that Buckinghamshire workshop. The Workshop Diaries series continues, but the shape of his career is worth sitting with for a moment. He co-built a television show that reached hundreds of millions of viewers. He walked away from it, or more precisely, was pushed to a place where walking away was the only option that let him keep his integrity intact, at the moment when that show was at the height of its international reach. He then spent years rebuilding something much smaller, doing it independently, without a network budget or a broadcast platform. The thing he built turned out to be real. The Workshop Diaries audience is loyal. The weekly format delivers exactly what his fans always wanted from the Wheeler Dealers segments that Velocity decided were too expensive. In that sense, Edd got the outcome he was looking for, just not through the door he expected to walk through. The Guinness World Records kept coming too. His most recent publicly documented record was for the world's fastest electric ice cream van, a development that might seem absurd until you understand that Edd has always used extreme machines to make a genuine point about engineering. The electric ice cream van was not a stunt. It was a working commercial vehicle and a proof of concept for electric drive systems in the food service industry. That is the kind of person he has always been. Someone who sees a tool where others see a prop. The tragedy in Edd China's story is not that he failed. It is that he succeeded, twice. First inside a system that eventually told him his best work was too costly to keep. Then outside that system, on a platform nobody controls, rebuilding the audience he had already earned once. At 55, he is still in the Buckinghamshire workshop, still posting, still explaining the detail that Velocity once called unnecessary. Workshop Diaries is ongoing. New episodes appear regularly. The Patreon for the series has supporters who fund it directly. He built a structure that does not require a network to survive. The question his story leaves open is not whether he was right to leave. His own documented words make his reasoning clear. The question is what it actually cost him, in years and momentum and television reach, to hold that line. Did Edd China make the right call in March 2017? Or would you have stayed and tried to make the changes work from the inside?